Hi, I've received a lot of messages asking if I can comment on this prank that was pulled the other day by an English artist called Banksy, a very infamous street artist who's been going for like a few decades and is an anonymous artist. No one really knows who he is, but his works actually sell for a lot of money these days. And there was this Sotheby auction the other day. If you don't know about Sotheby's, they're one of the world's most prestigious auction houses, and this was in London, I believe it was, and a Banksy painting called Girl with Balloon here. It's actually a very famous painting, and it's done with spray paint on canvas with like a stencil. That's what a lot of Banksy art is. And this one, actually, they estimated it to go for 200 to 300,000 pounds, but it actually ended up selling for like £1 million. And the prank was, when the hammer went down, it shredded itself. Well done. Absolutely brilliant. Let's watch the video that was posted by Banksy on his Instagram account just after it happened. So let's have a look. A few years ago, I secretly built a shredder into a painting, and we'll get to this, how it's actually constructed and how there's a bit of bullshit going on here, in case it was ever put up for auction.
Okay, it's the Banksy Girl with Balloon, ladies and gentlemen, standing in the back of the room, and I'm going to start bidding here 100, 150, 200,000, I have already 200,000, 300,000, 350, 400,000, yeah, 400,000, 600,000, your bid, 600,000, anyone else? Last chance.
And they're on the phone with the phone bidders, apparently. And the hammer drops. And just after the hammer dropped, it shredded itself. Absolutely brilliant. One of the biggest pranks ever pulled off. Absolutely fantastic. And like, it literally shredded itself moments after the hammer dropped. So obviously, somebody was there in the crowd with a remote trigger for this thing. So I thought we'd actually take a closer look at the hardware and whether or not this thing's legit. Now, the first thing you got to ask is, was it actually the canvas itself that was actually shredded, or was it actually that was actually faked and the original is still rolled up inside? So that's an eons old magician trick where you pretend to, cut or shred something up when you actually haven't. The original's still rolled up inside. And well, that's possible, but I don't think so, because that would be completely lame. Really, it would. And I don't think Banksy's lame. So I think it actually did shred itself. The other thing you'll notice that it actually stopped about halfway, and I think that is completely deliberate. I don't think it jammed or ran out of battery or anything like that. I think that was that was predetermined. It was part of the art of this thing. This thing, because Banksy is famously doesn't like his paintings being sold, and that's what he implies in the video. Just in case the painting was ever sold, then it would shred itself. So that was the whole point of this. But ironically, Banksy has sold art in the past, and this particular one, Girl with a Balloon, is actually dates from 2006, and apparently they sold a lot of these things. So yeah, and if you actually have a look at the Sotheby's website here, it actually says executed in 2006. This work is unique. And spray paint and acrylic on canvas mounted on board in artist's frame. And of course, the all-important provenance, which is the proof where it actually comes from, it was acquired directly from the artist by the present owner in 2006. So that was 12 years ago. So we are led to believe that this painting was given in that original frame from 12 years ago. And nah, sorry, that is absolute bullshit. First of all, Banksy himself actually says there in the video that a few years ago I secretly built, not like a decade ago I secretly built a shredder into this thing. It was just like a few years ago. I don't think it was even a few years. It definitely wasn't 12 years ago. This footage was not shot in 2006. I guarantee you. So obviously, apparently nobody knows who the original owner, the seller of this thing is. Sotheby's obviously know. And the next question is, were Sotheby's in on it? And I don't think so. Like, it's possible, but I don't think so. They're a really, you know, they're one of the world's most prestigious art auctioneers, and, you know, really like stiff upper lip kind of thing. So I don't think they were in on it. I think they got pranked, or Banksy'd, as they're calling it. So yeah, it's possible, but I suspect not. But what I believe is what's happened is that the original owner is somebody who knows Banksy and is in on this whole thing. Because if the original owner acquired it in 2006, this frame is very new. It was only done recently, as we'll get into, and Banksy even admits it was only a couple of years ago, implies that in the video. Then what's Banksy going to do? Ask for give me the painting back. I want to put it in this nice frame for you. You know, she'll be right. No worries. No, it's not going to happen. The original owner was in on it, I reckon. Now, the next thing, as you can see here, Banksy supposedly did this behind-the-scenes video where he built this building that shredder into a painting. And look, it just uses X-Acto razor blades there on a block of wood with this big, thick steel bar on the top. There is absolutely no way that this is the shredding mechanism. Why? Several reasons. Well, the blades are not angled correctly for it. You are not going to shred a painting like we actually saw actually be shredded here. It's not going to come out like that from a bunch of right angle X-Acto blades. It's not going to happen. It's done with a commercial shredder, which is built in, almost certainly built into this metalwork down the bottom. And also, if you note, when it actually comes out, it's actually towards the front of the frame, and this is actually the back of the frame. This shows Banksy supposedly, it's all ready to go, putting the back cover on the frame, because it's all like the gilded thing on the front, and this part here is at the back. This is definitely the back. So if we have a look at it here, the painting is going to be on the front. The painting would have to actually wrap itself, come up here and be pulled through these, through the razor blades. They're not mounted in the right direction to actually do that anyway. There's two motors here and here, like supposedly roller motors there. I'm not sure if they're fake. They may not be. They may be part of the mechanism, but certainly if you had an industrial, like a commercial shredder mechanism built into the metalwork here that ejected the paper from the bottom, we can't actually see a slit down the bottom. So yeah, but it definitely did not come through these razor blades. It'd have to bend itself up, curl itself up like this over the razor blades, and then what's pulling it from the other side of the razor blades? You can't push it from the front of the razor blades. It's just not going to happen. So obviously it's being pulled through like a commercial shredding mechanism would actually do. So yeah, I think that all these showing this is just showmanship. That's not the mechanism that did it. And as for the other stuff in here, I believe this white pack here is probably the batteries. That looks like a bunch of possibly 18650 cells like that in a large pack. There's some rubber at the front to keep it in there, and it's like there's this custom metal frame in there. This red and black device here, we've got a couple of crimp terminals, those commercial crimp ones to join the wires together. That's probably like the motor drive. So is that another motor snuck in there? I'm not exactly sure, but it looks like it, because this is a motor drive wire going over here like this. You can see another one going over here like this. So maybe it did have some sort of guide roller or something like that to help it so that it kept it straight into the shredder. But obviously the razor blades are not the shredder. That is some sort of domestic or commercial shredding mechanism in the bottom there. So could this have been done in 2006, over 12 years ago, and just like secretly lying dormant for that long? No, as I said, this video was not shot in 2006, and there's enough battery capacity there. You could actually power a receiver for that long, but then you've got all sorts of issues. You can't have something designed that reliable to be guaranteed to work in 12 years time. You'd have to have, like, if you use some sort of processor based system or whatever, custom little processor in there, you would need to ensure that that was continuously watchdog reset so it didn't latch up or do anything like that. And there's, lots of little things that go into designing a long-term battery solution, like something like this. Like you wouldn't use battery contacts, for example, because they could corrode. You wouldn't use a lithium ion battery, for example. You use lithium primary cells. You definitely wouldn't use alkalines. So in this particular case, I would choose a lithium primary solution like CR123s. You can get them in 18650 form factors as non-rechargeable primary cells. You can get primary lithium D cells I've used before for very long-term powering projects and something like that. So you could actually power a sensor for that long. And what type of sensor is it? Well, you could use wireless, you could use infrared, you could even use ultrasonic or something like that. Look, it has not been in there for 12 years. This is a recent prank done as a massive publicity stunt, and it was almost certainly coordinated, I think, with the original owner, probably without Sotheby's knowledge, because they've got too much reputation to lose in that aspect of it. And really, like, it couldn't be like a timer based system. The timing was way too coincidental. As soon as that hammer went down, apparently like a little alarm went off. We can't see that in there, but a buzzer went off or something, and then the mechanism started up, and then it just shredded itself. So it's definitely not a timer based system. I think almost certainly somebody was in the audience triggering it, and there's some speculation that it may have used some sort of voice activation thing, or when the hammer went down it triggered it, something like that. In theory, that's possible. In practice, there was no way you would implement that reliably. You just wouldn't do it, especially anything long term. There's no way that's guaranteed to work, so you wouldn't at all choose that sort of solution. It was definitely some sort of remote trigger thing. Whether or not Banksy was in the audience and did it himself, or whether or not some collaborator did it, we just don't know. But it was certainly triggered in the audience, and it's a recent prank, and yeah, it just did not sit there for that long. So really, we're probably talking weeks or a couple of months at most battery power, and it looks like, assuming that those white things are the batteries, there's more than enough there to power any wireless receiver or any sort of receiver solution for that for years probably. And the other thing is, if you actually look at how it actually comes out like this, it actually comes out pre-crinkled. And you can see this big fold in the canvas here. It's obviously been stuck inside the mechanism, like sort of around in the mechanism, preloaded in there, ready to go for quite some time. And it's probably been like the start of it, probably pre-shred and then cut it off. And when you're designing something like this, you have to, reliability is everything. So they probably, shredded the battery pack would probably have to have enough power to do a couple of test shreds, and then they put the proper canvas in there, the original canvas in, and then sort of like start it for a little bit, sort of like pre-shred it, and then it'd be ready to go. So yeah, the battery pack probably had enough power to do a couple of test shreds, because you don't want to set it all up and then connect your battery. Like, there's too many reliability, and then cross your fingers and hope it works. There's too many reliability issues there. So it's obviously like pre-creased inside, and of course that just doesn't fit. As I said, it just doesn't fit the this razor blade system here. That's just a red herring. Well done there. I'm surprised people haven't picked up on that. It's just obvious that wasn't what was used to shred it. So however you look at this, it's there's quite a bit of effort that goes into building something like this. So I don't know who Banksy is, whether he's not got any sort of, making EE background or something like that. But, it requires some significant effort, especially if you want to ensure the reliability of a prank like this. So, yeah, so he's either got mad skills or, yeah, somebody helped him with the build on this thing. And here's some other footage of it, like after it shredded itself, taking it away. Don't shoot vertical video. Just don't. It's evil. And yeah, you can see it's like it's not at the back of the painting there. Is Banksy there? Can we spot him? And apparently, this is the guy here who was filming it the whole time, apparently. So, is that Banksy? Is it one of his collaborators? We just don't know. But yeah, those glasses look dodgy, don't they? Probably had a backup little spy cam inside those glasses just in case. But yeah, you can see that there they are taking it away, and it obviously didn't come from the back part with those razor blades. There's absolutely no doubt. Yay, applause. Well done, Banksy. Absolutely brilliant. So that was fantastic. Ironically, it's probably worth more now in its half shredded state than it was before, but apparently there are lots of these original ones around, but this one, people just go crazy over this stuff, and now this is like going to be worth probably more than the £1 million that some anonymous buyer paid for it. It's something similar to this, kind of, but it wasn't at an auction. It was a public art thing where an artist called Farewell installed a shredder with the razor blades. See how they're mounted in the vertical direction like that? That's how you need to do it if you want to shred something, right? There he is actually creating and putting the razor blades in there, and then installing it in an outdoor, one of these outdoor sign things, and open it up and secretly stick it on the inside so it shreds the paper. It doesn't eject it out, but it actually just deliberately shreds the advertisement. So that's very cool. Here we go. Fantastic. There we go. Just shreds them, and then presumably you can remove it, and you're just left with the... Oh, and he hung it up. There you go. So maybe, did Banksy get inspiration from that? I don't know. Anyway, that was very cool. That was very well done. And it may not have, there's a lot of things that could have gone wrong in a build like this, but they pulled it off. But like I said, it was not there for 12 years. It like lying dormant. This was a deliberate ploy by Banksy to, a deliberate, performance art or whatever you want to call it. It was very well done, very deliberate. And Sotheby's probably weren't in on it, I suspect. But anyway, it's fantastic. Let me know what you think down below if you got any other theories or anything like that. But yeah, it's brilliant prank. Thumbs up. Catch you next time.